usual 6 weeks for previous installments. The return of Carrie Elwes as Dr. Lawrence Gordon was leaked on the Internet via a Lionsgate publicity fact sheet on April 24th, 2010. And the thing about Saw fans is they really are really smart, because I remember months before, when the Saw trailer was just being released, I remember people on YouTube talking about what they thought was going to happen as far as Dr. Gordon from the first movie, and showing the clip where Jigsaw's inserting the key into the eye of the victim in the second Saw, and how he's limping on that same leg. And this guy was correct, that these people were correct on YouTube that came up with these hypotheses. But these Saw fans are smart, man. It's a really smart horror movie, I will give it that. Moving on here, producers viewed the first cut of the film on the 22nd of May, 2010. Gabby West won a role in this film through Scream Queens, just like Tanaja Howard did in Saw 6. The scene involved the department store window trap near the beginning of the film required 400 extras. The first 8 minutes of the film were screened for few fans and members of the press at the 2010 San Diego Comic-Con. Tobin Bell has played Jigsaw Killer 9 consecutive times, 7 times on film, twice as the voice of the character for the Saw video games. The only Saw film to have a budget over $11 million, Saw 3D had a budget of about $17 million due to the complexity of shooting in 3D. The garage trap was written for an earlier film in the series, but the producers felt it was too disturbing to show in the film. For an unknown reason, they finally allowed it to be filmed. It had to be submitted 6 times to obtain an R rating from the Major Motion Picture Association of America to avoid an NC-17 rating. Damn. Chester Bennington, lead singer of Linkin Park, consulted with an acting coach for his role in the film. Devin Bostic, Brent from Saw 6, was offered the chance to reprise his role, but had to turn it down due to scheduling conflicts. At the 2010 San Diego Comic-Con, the film was referred to as Saw 3D, The Traps Come Alive. At a press conference, and many tabloids reported this was the movie's official title. The next day, the producers confirmed the movie's title was simply Saw 3D, The Traps Come Alive, was only a tagline. And finally, the first Saw sequel to not have a Roman numeral in its title. Okay, so that's definitely some very interesting information about Saw. And if you listeners want to call in and talk about Saw, Paranormal Activity, or Scream 4, or anything else related to horror, the guest call-in number is 1-619-393-6766. Again, that is 1-619-393-6766. I say you could use the Click to Talk with Skype icon, but that's not really possible because Blog Talk's having Skype issues, so that's why I'm having to use my damn cell phone right now. But anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to go on to talk a little bit about Paranormal Activity 2. And I have not seen it yet, but as far as our co-host here, Melina White, who's not here tonight, but as far as what she said, it wasn't as good as the first. It did connect to the first. It's not as good as she expected, but it's still worth going out and seeing. I thought the first one was okay, but I thought it was complete bullshit that they kept on talking about how it was the scariest movie of all time, because it's nowhere near the scariest movie of all time. Definitely a different type of movie, which, was interesting, but, I mean, come on. Scariest movie of all time? No. The movie meter shows on Internet Movie Database that the movie went down 12% in popularity this week. Not as much as the 16% in Saw 3D. And I find that interesting because Paranormal Activity 2 nowadays is doing quite a bit better than Saw 3D. But moving on, we have a little bit more to talk about here on the show. That's all we'll talk about as far as Paranormal Activity 2 goes this week. But we're also going to talk a little bit about Scream 4, which is in theaters, I believe, April 15th, 2010. And again, Scream's one of my favorites. Go to scream-4.com if you want to read more about it. That's their official show page. And, oh, my God, I'm looking so forward to this movie because, like I said, I'm one of the biggest Scream fans in the world, and so is Melina. So we're all big fans of that. And a little bit more we'll talk about with that is we'll go ahead and talk about company credits. The production companies, as it was originally, Dimension Films is taking part in this. Dimension Films, the main production company for Scream all the way through the trilogy. Midnight Entertainment and Outer Banks Entertainment are also some production companies with this. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to wrap up our talk on that, and we're going to get to some more creepy Christmas information. Because what we're going to do right now is we are going to talk a little bit about Silent Night, Deadly Night, and that's the review we're going to do. It was a 1970s film which featured a killer Santa Claus, which resulted in a lot of controversy. So we're going to review the film, talk about it, including its controversy. If you want to call in, jump on board in the discussion, feel free. Just can't use Skype because obviously it's not working. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take a special listen to the trailer of Silent Night, Deadly Night, and then we're going to get to talking about it.
The night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there.
Okay, then you heard it. And this was a pretty scary film. I'm going to admit, I really enjoyed it. I'm going to be honest. I did really enjoy this film. But we're going to talk about it in depth, do a review, and talk about some of the controversy that went along with it. Okay, let's get started, shall we? Yes, we shall. Silent Night, Deadly Night. Whew. Oh, my gosh. I'm getting the summary up here so I can kind of read through that for those of you who may not have ever seen this before on Internet Movie Database, and that's one of my favorite resources, along with Wikipedia, but don't tell anyone I said that. Okay, all right, here is what it's all about. Here is the what you would read on the back of the DVD, the description, if you will. After his parents are murdered, a young tormented teenager goes on a murderous rampage dressed as Santa due to his stay at an orphanage where he was abused by Mother Superior. The damn bitch. Okay, let's talk about it. Okay. Silent Night, Deadly Night. One of the most controversial films of all time. From 1984. And let's review it first before we talk about the controversy. On December the 24th, 1971, Billy Chapman, a little boy, goes with his parents and younger brother Ricky to see their grandfather for Christmas. So basically what happens is the family, it's Christmas Eve, the family goes to the mental institution. The grandfather's in like a comatosic, if that's even a word, state. He's like in a coma. He's non-responsive. But then when the parents leave, the little boy's with him alone. And he starts to talk to the little boy and tells him that Christmas is the scariest night of the year, and Santa punishes naughty children. And if he sees Santa, he better run. And then when the parents come in, he goes back to his comatose, if you will, his coma, his comatic state. I don't even know if these are words, by the way. I am a human dictionary. I get to make up what I say. Damn it. But anyway, what happens then is basically they go home They're on their way home, and there's like a Santa who's already held up other people. This is just basically some bum with a gun in his hand, dressed up like Santa. He stops him. He points the gun at him. He's probably going to ask for money or something. The family, escapes.